where the feminists are at now. So, the beauty of this is, as many of you in the manosphere and world of men, we're letting them drown. What was it? Was that line from Shawshank Redemption? I'll send you down there with the rapists and sodomites or something like that. So that's where now, for a lot of the blue enclaves, that's where they're at. And so I was thinking about this, because there was this guy who had written a book on male suicide. I was watching how people reacted to him, and here's how the reaction kind of went. Did you know that there are women? And he's, like, oh, yes, and I would think, being that they're most likely, related to some male somewhere, that they would be concerned about this book I wrote on male suicide. But did you know there are women? But male suicide, but vagina. This is almost practically what it was like listening to the reaction from this feminist. Did you know women also feel things? So the best way of dealing with male suicide when somebody's documenting it is to bring in a typical psychopathic white liberal female bigot, because that's what feminists really now are. And the beauty of this is you need the white men to keep the blacks from beating you up and raping you to death. That's all there is. It's not something else. Meatball and her friends will diversify you, and you're going to learn to enjoy it. Because there's no way back from this. That's really Scott Adams said it best. There is no way back from this. The psychopathic left end of society is going to have to drown in crime until enough of them die that they'll be like, oh, well, we should stop this. That's the only way they'll learn. That's it. It's not something else. They really are the kind of people who only believe in pain and suffering, and that's the only way to learn. Now, they like thinking that somebody on the right thinks like this in some way, shape, or form, where the right keeps trying to tell them, if you don't enforce the law, you're going to be violated by the savages and sodomites. But they don't care. Because then that would in some way mean that people they don't agree with are factually correct. Now, when you think that people cannot possibly be factually correct at any time, you're a bigot. And so that's where the left is at. College-educated bigots. And it's beautiful. Because now there's no helping the bigot. That's the best part. What they tried to do this, like, where you would have some show and there would be the person who would realize, like, after I really think about it, people are people and everything is super cool. And my whole thing is, no, a bunch of people want to deny that men are starving in the streets. Let them find out the hard way. A lot of people want to deny that they are setting themselves up to be victims of crime. Let them find out the hard way. Let everyone find out the hard way. That's what the lesson of this time of our republic is. Because did you know there are women? Were you aware? I know. When you're doing all your research on these men who are committing suicide, did you find any research on the fact that there are females? Did you suddenly stop writing your book and just sit there thinking, wow, females? Ooh, vaginas. So amazing. I mean, it really was. It was almost that bad, that asinine. This would be like, if somebody had written this book on lynching and you had a Klansman there who started talking about how tough white guys have it. That's not very different. This would be, if you had a book documenting the rise of gangs in Black America and this suddenly in the 90s, the jump in crime and this, that, and the other, and literally some Aryan Nation skinhead is there talking about how tough, that not all black people are poor, and really, they should, have you ever heard of how tough white guys have it? Do you know how expensive an Alpha Flight is, bro? Do you know how expensive it is to get a Swazi tatted on you? I have Mein Kampf on my right arm. No, like a whole paragraph. Do you know how much it costs for me to get that, bro? No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. But I mean, this is, I mean, it's not that, it's not that far off. I mean, it really is, because the left are psychopaths. Somebody was making, actually, it was Dr. Steve Turley was making a very good argument about this. And because some of you, you're aware that, I had to learn a bit about psychopathy to understand a bit about kind of my own personal history. And so it was one of these things that I'm sitting back and I'm just like, no, I've seen this behavior before. I've seen this behavior. I've personally known a psychopath, or somebody who very likely was, and that this is exactly the way that they would behave, that you have them dead to rights. It's like, no, this that I'm holding right here was in spot A, it showed up in spot B, you're the only person who could have done that. And then the conversation has to be changed to some other subject matter. Did you know what somebody else somewhere did? That's objectionable. And so that's now the left long ago in internet blood sports. The left just got trounced over and over and over again. And then when Destiny and all them tried to save the left from itself, they failed mainly because, especially like Vaush, Hassan, Destiny, they all failed because they would not deal with the realities of poverty and crime. And they went out of their way to know nothing about the statistical, any statistics on the history of Black Americans. So they can't deal with the fact that Black Americans in no way, shape, or form are this grotesquely poor people who are just destitute everywhere. It's like most Black people are in the middle and or working class, and they're not at the bottom of the economy. In that, it's the only people at the bottom of the economy are the poor, and that's old people, children, and single mothers. Now, the big issue is they don't want to deal with welfare. It makes more single mothers. That's the key thing that they will never deal with that. They'll never, ever, ever just deal with it, that those two correlate directly. And that it seems to be something that almost is uniquely destructive to Black America, even though it's influencing Hispanics and whites the same way. Basically paying them to breed out of wedlock, and that it really now the reason why I think it's so difficult for Black Americans with the welfare state, I think more psychopathy. Everything I've seen from genomics and genetic stuff and everything, it's more likely to be psychopaths. Black women are far more likely to be psychopaths than any other group I've seen so far. Maybe outside of something like Dravidians, like Pakistanis, and sometimes Hindu women. Like, there's something going on there. Like, they're hell of them are mental as fuck. And like, so you end up finding this out because they'll go into the public, some kind of public thing where, and they'll express how they have some kind of mental issues, and you're like, what the fuck? And finally, it's like after like, after like about a decade where this pops up, so person after person who's some kind of Pakistani or Hindi in the Western world, Bharati, but that kind of like the ones who look more Dravidian, they're the one. Yeah, I keep finding like, especially Pakistani women. That's the one I keep finding. Like there's a lot of them who are nuts. You know, like like way nuts. You know, and so, but yeah, that. So anyway, this was something I was just thinking about because when I saw it, I was like, is this really? Is this is really now at that stage that all the feminists do? They just sit there, but women. Oh, black people have issues, but did you know that white women exist? Can you believe it? You know, and then it was also the thing like, oh, you're just, you guys are just committing suicide at rates that are shocking everybody. Oh, only young men in the prime of life have so little to gain from society that they're killing themselves. But did you know women? And I just love it. I just love that the white liberal women are just showing everybody, no, they should be left to drown. Like, this is how they really felt about their husbands, their dads, their brothers. They have no problem seeing men suffer and die. So it's not the other way around. It's not that men are like, oh, we love seeing women hurt. No. This is the psychopathic projection that comes from the left. And now, what was it? Romanian V just posted something where like that dickhead Sean from Britain, that fucking fop, his dumb ass was like posting like how it's problematic that conservatives are consistently so approachable and polite. It's like, yeah, because that's the way society should be. And I remember this was, was it? Yeah, it was, Dalai Lama. When I see somebody, should I smile and nod? The Dalai Lama just was totally perplexed by this question. It was, of course, you're human. But you see, Americans, because leftists study Buddhism, it's not something that's caught on to the religious conservatives. Those are called Chinese people and Tibetans. Those are and Vietnamese people. So they're disqualified because they're white adjacent. But you see, Buddhism is extremely strict as a religion. Easily Orthodox Christianity style, Catholicism style, all the same stuff is forbidden in behavior. You can't smoke pot. You can't have butt sex. You can't have oral. You can't. No, none of that's allowed. So I mean, lots of stuff. You can't eat onions and garlic because it's so likely to make you have to move your passions. So I just like that. It's like when you have the left having to find their new religion, and they're like, but should I smile at other humans? They aren't Buddhists, master. Derp. Which is why then shortly in that same interview, Dalai Lama recommended that people in the Christian world look into Christianity because it's a pretty good religion. I swear to God, when he said that, I was like, mental note. I'm sitting here day before Christmas watching the Dalai Lama and he's recommending Christianity. Mental note. Just remember this, Donovan. There was a lot of things like that in my life. Mental note. Just remember this. Just remember this moment because you're probably going to be swallowing your pride one of these days. Just got that feeling. Yeah. So, just some thoughts. Later.